Just about all of us have heard John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about Jesus being the Logos, the Word, and what that means. I'm sure a lot of us have heard studies about what that means about Jesus and who he is. But what you might not have heard is that in these first 5 verses of John, you can actually spot the resurrection. Stay tuned. When I was a senior in college, I had to write a senior thesis. I don't really know what I was thinking when I actually took on my thesis for my senior thesis. My thesis, I was writing about the identity of the disciple whom Jesus loved in the Gospel of John. I think I made some pretty good arguments. Maybe I'll release the paper someday. We'll see. Either way, as I was doing my studying, I gained an amazing appreciation for the Gospel of John. Even just in my studies, I learned a lot about the Gospel of John, especially John chapter 1, verses 1 through 18, which is what's called the Johannine prologue. What a lot of us have probably heard about is the Logos, how in John chapter 1, verse 1, John refers to Jesus as the Word, which in Greek is the Logos. In John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, though, this is what John says. He says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Now, I'm sure many of us have read that multiple times, and we've never thought about this before. But if you pay close attention to the tenses that are being used here, you're going to shed some new light on what John is saying in these first 5 verses. So, let's pay attention to this. And here's the thing, is that with Greek, it is a very specific language. Each tense that an author uses, it is necessary to pay attention. Of course, we have future. We will not see this in John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. So we have the present tense, a continuous action that happens now. We have the aorist tense, which is a simple one-time past tense, and we use the past tense all the time. But the aorist tense is a simple past tense, which means that it's a one-time thing. We have the imperfect tense, which is ongoing customary action in the past, and we also have the perfect tense here. I was running. I used to run. It's a vivid, more descriptive tense, allowing us to see what's going on in the past. And we also have the perfect tense here, which indicates an action that happened before this point, but whatever happened remains true up until this point. And also remember the indicative mood. The indicative mood is the mood of reality. So anytime a Greek author uses the indicative mood, he's saying that this is true. Of course, we have future. We will not see this in John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Let's dive into the tenses used here in chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. In the beginning was the Word. If we ever encounter a variation or a conjugation of the verb to be in the past tense, it will always be imperfect. You can't just be for just one single point in time. You're always continually being. So Jesus, the Word, in the beginning was the Word. This is imperfect. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was imperfect with God. And the Word was God, imperfect still. He was imperfect in the beginning with God. All things were made through him. Aorist, simple, one-time action. All things were made through him, one time. And without him was not anything made that was made. Nothing was made up to that point without him. This is perfect. In him was life. Imperfect. There was continuously life in him. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Imperfect. The light shines, and the darkness. Shines here's present. He switches from imperfect to aorist to perfect to imperfect, and now he's using the present tense. And I'll give you one guess to what the mood is. Indicative. He's using the indicative mood, indicating reality. He uses the present indicative here, indicating that Jesus is still shining, continuously shines, is now shining, and that it is reality into the darkness. And the darkness has not overcome it. Has not overcome it is probably not the best translation here, because in English, that is the perfect tense translation. In Greek, it is the aorist. And what is the aorist again? A simple, one-time action in the past. What John is saying here is that Jesus is still alive and he's still shining now, continuously, forever, reality. That's what John is claiming here. He's claiming that Jesus still is shining, that Jesus is still alive. And what he says is that darkness did not overcome it, using the aorist, simple, one-time action in the past. What is he pointing to? There's one period in time where the darkness had every chance to overcome Jesus, to overcome the light, and didn't. The climax of human history, the climax of the biblical narrative, everything leads up to this moment. Darkness seems like he's winning. The Son of God is dead. But yet, the darkness did not, in this moment, overcome the light, did not overcome Jesus. John here is pointing to the resurrection. Then the first 5 verses of the Gospel of John, he's remembering the times that he had with his friend and his rabbi Jesus. And he's writing this amazing gospel of the eyewitness testimony that he has to share. Out of all the times he has to reminisce about, which he will get into later on, still making theological claims, the one thing that he points out first, the one thing that he points his readers to first in this gospel, is what he believed was the climax of everything he was ever taught, the climax of his entire life, and probably the moment he felt the most joy, the moment he probably felt the most happiness, is the resurrection of not only the Son of God, but John's friend, and again, his rabbi, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So, tenses matter in Greek. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of things to learn about Greek. I've learned a lot about Greek. I'm not able to teach you everything about Greek, but what I can teach you or allow you to see is that there is an intricate complexity, yet it's so simple because he lays it right out in front of us. But there's this something deeper. If you just look, there's just something deeper. That there's this real human side to the gospel that relates everything that we need to know just in using verb tenses. And in that way, it's so poetic, it's so artistic. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to teach you everything, but I can teach you certain things. And so I'm glad that I got to sit down and talk about these few verses, which I'm hoping to get into in another episode, because although he's pointing back to the resurrection, he's also claiming a lot about Jesus himself in these first 5 verses. And at some point, I like to get into the Johannine prologue as well, verses 1 through 18. It's going to take a lot more study, so bear with me on that. But like I said, hopefully you guys got something from this. Hopefully you guys can go tell your friends all about it, about something new that you learned about the Gospel of John. And please like, subscribe, comment, anything. With just your view encourages us. So again, thank you and have a good day.